I bought myself a Christmas present in the form of this 6-inch cast iron benchtop planer or jointer. It's over 40 kilos, and a really nice fellow called Alan, who I bought it off, even drove it to me. I think he wanted to know his tools were going to someone who would actually use them and not just resell them on eBay. And he spent well over an hour in the workshop talking to me and looking at some of the things I'd made. The machine is in pretty good nick, but I want to give it the once over and then calibrate it. With any new second-hand tool, you have to get to know its peculiars, how it likes to operate. The first thing I did was use an engineer's straight edge to check the surfaces. The in and out feed tables seemed flat but were not in line, and there seemed to be the slightest bow on the cast iron fence. That thing there looks like it's come off a bloody ship or something. I'm going to take apart as much of the machine as I can and slowly rebuild it, checking moving parts and giving everything the once over. I placed the bench planer on its side upon some wooden blocks, removed the base plate and clean and examine the innards. The nice thing about some older tools is parts which would otherwise be made from plastic are made from metal. This is a brushed motor, so I probably should make sure I get a spare set of those. The motor runs the blades, but there's also another pulley that comes off to a fan, an impeller that's in this section here, and which forces the chips out, which I think is probably sort of standard stuff for a machine like this. I have noticed that there's a section here that is open. I'm not sure whether that's to draw air out of this area as an exhaust, or to keep the airflow going through the impeller when there's no additional extraction being used and the airflow is being restricted by material. And you get some of the sort of dust that I've found here. That's probably from, some of it looks like it's from the pulley, but the pulleys don't look too bad. While on its side, I check the air movement in and out of the motor. This is a really loud machine, so it would be nice to change the motor to a brushless type if I can find the right replacement. I'm tempted to block the opening and draw some new holes for the motor to exhaust air, but first I should concentrate on the feed table. So that looks good on this side of the bed. If I move this along, you can see there's quite a bit of a gap. Spilled coffee on my manual straight away. The infeed table is held on by 4 machine screws, and there are also 4 grub screws which level the entire section, which are accessed from underneath. I then placed the planer on 2 lengths of oak timber which I clamped onto 2 benches. I could then lower myself under the machine to adjust the 4 grub screws which levelled the infeed table. This obviously felt quite dangerous, and if anything slipped I would have had a flat head. I checked the infeed against the outfeed by placing a straight edge flat on the outfeed end and checking the gap between the bottom of the edge and the infeed table using a feeler gauge. That's 0.1 of a mil. I need to do a turn over here to raise it 0.1 of a mil. I worked my way outwards, levelling the screws closer to the knives, and several hours later I had a bad back but a pretty level infeed table. On 0.02 of a mil. was a little bit high on this side, but I mean I think this is good enough. I'm now taking the blades out of the machine to sharpen them. Come on, be a double-sided blade. No, it's not. I actually took this set to work to sharpen using a Tormek machine, but its whetstone wasn't properly ground flat, and despite making it really sharp, the blade didn't come back flat. So I ended up making this jig, which in my case holds the blades at 38 degrees to the abrasive surface, in the channels I'm cutting on screen now. This is what my jig looked like with the knives held in place. I could have made it a little narrower, and I never seem to get the slotted insert nuts installed without becoming crooked, but it seemed to work quite well. There's a few videos of these jigs being made, but the source seems to be an image of an aluminium jig which must have been supplied with a planer. The associated article was in Cyrillic and I couldn't find any additional information, but I'll link to that in the description. Anyway, I'm reassembling the machine now and going over the parts of the fence, making sure things are installed level and deburring any faults with the casting. The fence was a bit bowed when I checked it with the engineer's straight edge, but its surface seemed quite square to the table. I then put the knives back, but I don't have a sophisticated jig to do this. I will only use the engineer's straight edge and my feeler gauges. So I've adjusted these two machine screws just so the tip of the blade, where it's at its highest point on the arc against this plane here, just catching onto this and moving it a little bit forward. So I think that's good enough for my level of accuracy. The only thing I will add is it's probably worth screwing the blade clamps down just so you need a few turns to fully tighten them. I noticed things would move around otherwise. 0.4 of a mil. So that's pretty good. I'll just do the other side. Feeler gauge is not going on there when it catches. That's good enough for me. Got a bit of scrap hardwood here. It seems to cut well enough, clean and square, although this is definitely now the scariest machine I own. It's very loud, and the extraction doesn't seem to get all the dust. I still need to build a movable table for it, simply because it's too heavy to shift from some storage place, potentially underneath the workbench. To do this I'll need to rejig the space a little when I have time, and I wouldn't mind replacing the red retractable guard with the sprung loaded variety.